Hi, I'm Foster Turtle, and I go by Foster. I joined an indie game as an artist recently, and I've got some updates for you. No, not that game. That's F.A.T.B.O.Y Frog Protection Agency, the game we made for the 2023 GMTK Game Jam. But we did get top 100 out of almost 7,000 entries, which feels really awesome. I'll link our jam game in the description if you want to give it a go. No, the game I want to tell you about is called Hex Strikers, a classic funfair strongman game turned roguelike deck builder, where you strategically place hexes to gain tokens and unlock upgrades. And who doesn't love hexagons and upgrades? A few days after the GMTK Game Jam ended, Sidfish and I were talking about making some bigger games together, when he showed me the work that he'd done on Hex Strikers and invited me on as an artist. Since the game has already been in development for a while, there's already a Steam page for you to visit and wishlist the game to show your support for the project. And for the past few weeks, I've been working hard on sketching, drawing, coloring, and animating the titular Striker and High Striker Carnival game. Before we can animate the character, we'll have to update the design. Since we're working on a smaller scale, we'll focus on making the character readable, and use a classic strongman as a base. With the character design done, we can rough out the motion for the animation by breaking down the character into its most basic shapes. For the motion itself, I want to exaggerate the swing and impact, drawing on inspirations from Looney Tunes. We can accomplish this using an animation concept called anticipation. Anticipation is the action that preempts the main action. So for the hammer swing, we'll have the striker arch the hammer high over their head before swinging down for the impact frame. We can add the illusion of speed to the animation by using smear frames. For the smear frames in this animation, I lowered the opacity of the hammer and had multiple instances of the hammer in the same frame. By only implementing smear frames when the distance traveled between the two frames is the greatest, we can lend speed and impact to the frame after the smear frame without having to animate each small portion of the motion. We can also lend impact to the impact frame using a concept you're already probably familiar with. Using squash and stretch, we can emphasize both the anticipation and impact frames. Finally, for the striker, we'll split the animation of the hammer from the animation of the striker. This step allows us to implement the hammer upgrades without having to fully reanimate the striker. When working with game art, it's important that the art supports the mechanics, and you create your workflow with the mechanics in mind. For the High Striker game, we'll use smear frames and anticipation, just like on the striker. I also added some follow-through by having the flags continue swaying after the strike. It's a little detail, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I also animated some smoke effects for the striker, again calling back to Looney Tunes, as well as an open and close animation for the High Striker machine itself. Foster from the future here to interrupt the devlog and let you know that since I started working on it, Sidfish has been able to implement a majority of the art that I've sent him. I'm super impressed with how quickly he's worked, and I'm super excited to see where else the project goes, and how everything looks once it's put fully into the game. Also, Sidfish is sharing updates from his side of the project on Twitter, so if you'd like to follow more closely, you can follow him there as well. Let me know what y'all thought of the in-depth art breakdowns, and if it's something you'd like more of in the future. There's a lot of art left to do, even with the over 100 individual frames already animated, and I'd love to bring y'all along through the journey. Like I said at the beginning, I'm Foster, and Sidfish and I are working on a roguelike deck builder called Hex Strikers. Sidfish has already laid a really solid gameplay foundation. I lost track of time playing an early build for over 40 minutes. The Steam page is also active, so if you like the concept and want to play it when it comes out, please wishlist it. Thanks for watching, and from me to you, as always, stay positive, keep creating, and share your gifts with the world.